10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 454. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 454 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. New month, new series. Happy May to everybody. And this month we're going to be going over a rather specific topic, but one I think that's really important. And if you sort of understand this stuff, you could really move your playing in a direction of just more interesting lines and understanding some key factors to keeping a listener's attention while you play. And this is some of the stuff that's really hard to start incorporating into your playing. So what I hope to do this month is sort of give you an in, give you a way and some ideas for starting to incorporate this stuff into your playing. And what we're going to be talking about is ornamentation. So let's start by talking about what ornamentation is at the end of the day. And rather than go into a deep, definition of it, that I'm a big fan of explaining it or demonstrating it in the minimum viable way, and then having you learn through examples and experimentation. So let me just give you a couple of examples, and you really just want to open up your ears, right, for this stuff, because I'm not going to be giving you a textbook definition. Instead, I want to rely on what you hear. And then obviously, if you're a Patreon member, you can get the worksheet and you can go and dive in and actually come to your own conclusions about what I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, what we're going to do is we're going to take a line and then we're going to start to ornament it. So you could see the line in its raw form, no ornamentation, and then you can dive into and unpack what I'm doing to it in your own way. And I really believe that's a very important thing to do, because everybody thinks about this stuff, makes it make sense to them in different ways. Wow, that was a really bad way of saying that. Basically, your brain processes the information and you form a mental picture of what I'm talking about. Everybody does that in their own way. So I'd rather just, put the examples on the table, demonstrate, then you can unpack it the way that you want to. But let's do a couple of really sort of simple examples, and all I want you to focus on is just listening. So what if we had just a simple little phrase, like an arpeggio followed by a scale segment? 1, 2, 3, 4. Listen to that again. 2, 3, 4. Ornamentation is basically using rhythm and notes combined to just make a line like that a little bit more interesting and, for lack of a better term, a little more fancy. So what if we did this? Listen for where the ornamentation is. Here's the original line. 2, 3, 4. Now, if we ornamented it, it might be something like this. Do you hear that? I mean, it's much more interesting. Way more interesting. Now, we could do a lot more to that line. What if I did? Right? That's even more ornamentation. So there's kind of levels to this. But I think you would agree it's just so much more interesting, right? And clearly I'm manipulating the rhythm, and I'm also manipulating some notes, although the note manipulation is not that complicated. Now, again, I could go into exactly what I'm doing, but I would much rather have you learn this a little more organically by simply just participating in taking a line and then experiencing playing it with ornamentations. So what I've done this week, and what all the Patreon members are going to get, is they're going to get these 3 phrases. This one original phrase that is totally unornamented, meaning that it's basically just all eighth notes. Here's what it sounds like. So you hear, that is the original line. It's pretty simple, pretty catchy, but you just notice like it's all eighth notes, right? And one of my favorite things to do is to take something like this and just start adding these ornaments. So now what you're going to hear this time is you're going to hear that line one time with no ornamentation, the way you just heard it. And then I want you to notice you're going to hear it two more times, but I'm going to add some ornamentation to it. So check this out. So I hope you can hear the difference, right? You hear it's just, again, for lack of a better term, a little bit more fancy, a little bit more rhythmically interesting. It's also more interesting in terms of the notes, because if I'm adding rhythmic interest, by definition, if I'm adding to the line, if I'm adding material to the line through rhythm, I also have to add some pitches. And again, you can dive into this stuff and really come up with your own way of describing what I'm doing. But that ornament that I'm playing is one of the most common ornaments in jazz. All right, so let's do one more level. What we're going to do is we're going to take that original line and we're going to add even more ornamentation to it. So what you're going to hear is you're going to hear the line you just heard once, and then you're going to hear another two times through with even more ornamentation. So really pay attention to the difference between the first one and then the second and third. So I hope you're starting to, form a little bit of an auditory picture of what that means, what the difference is between something that is not ornamented and then something with some of these jazz ornamentations that have really been played a ton through history. And I think what you'll realize is that a lot of your favorite musicians, so much of the reason why you love them so much is because of their really, really slick and integrated use of ornamentation. And once you start hearing this stuff and you start sort of thinking about it and understanding what it actually is, you can't unhear it. And then you will inevitably do some work to get this into your playing. So how are you going to practice this? Well, here's my sort of system for you. You grab the PDF, you put on the demonstration track, the one that I just played. You sing through all three levels. First, no ornamentation, then level 1 of ornamentation, then level 2 of ornamentation. You just sit and you sing along with it, right? Then you pick up your instrument, you play along with it. Then what you do is you keep playing, for instance, this is basically just over concert E flat major, right? So then you start improvising and you very sloppily try to use this stuff. Whatever you think it is, whatever your sort of mental translation of what you just heard is, you just immediately start trying to use it. And it's not going to be pretty. It's actually going to be very, very ugly, but you just try, right? Then what you can do is, now that you've sang along, played along, attempt it on your own, now what you can do is go back and you can start thinking about, what actually is this? What is going on here, like on a more zoomed in level? And you start to work that out, right? Maybe you can come up with some of your own exercises. You could write a short phrase and then try to put in what this ornamentation is, right? So you're basically allowed to think after you try. And then the process just starts getting more and more and more fruitful because you start to understand, you know what it feels like to try. All of a sudden, this stuff starts coming out, right? And I recommend doing these practice sessions where you're just trying to pack in as many of these ornaments as you possibly can. It shouldn't be musical. You should just be trying to put them everywhere, okay? To figure out how to do it, where's appropriate, start working that stuff out. And then in your playing, what'll happen is it'll start to come out musically, right? So what I'm doing for the Patreon members this week is I will give you the PDF of those 3 phrases, the plain old one, level 1 ornamentation, level 2 ornamentation. I'll give you the demo track so that you can sing along, play along, and then I'll give you a backing track so that you can attempt to improvise using these and packing your improvisation full of these so that you can fall on your face and then figure out why and start to refine from there. For the $5 members, I'll also give you a trading track, which will be really helpful, and you'll hear me on the trading track packing in as many of these ornaments as I possibly can, and that can really help to hear me do it a bunch, and then you start playing after that. So that would be really fun. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, we're a listener-supported podcast, and Patreon is how you show your love for what we're doing here, and you also, in return for that, get all of the materials from every single episode. So if you want a shortcut to actually just get down to business on this stuff, and you want to support the podcast, meaning that it will keep coming out week after week, then go over to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, and click on one of the Patreon banners, or go to patreon.com and search for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. You can get yourself signed up, get all the information. It's just a small monthly donation, and as soon as you sign up, you get instant access. One request that I've been making the past couple of months is that when you do sign up to support us on Patreon, if you could just do that on a computer and not on the iOS app for Patreon, that would be great. If you do it on the app, basically Apple takes 30% of those donations forever, basically. So that would be really awesome if you could just do it on a web browser, and then you can use the app after you're already signed up, and we won't get affected by that. So again, 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners, or patreon.com, search for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Have fun with this stuff. We're going to be diving into this over all sorts of situations with all types of ornamentations all month. Have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.